Put that rod down right now. That's what the HOA president screamed at me across the dock like I was waving a shotgun instead of teaching my kid how to fish. One minute I'm showing my son Noah how to bait a hook. The next I've got a $600 citation shoved in my face and neighbors live streaming like it's reality TV. When she picked up the phone to call 911, I knew this wasn't about fishing anymore. It was about power. That Saturday morning started perfectly. Noah had been begging me all week to teach him proper fishing. The sun was coming up over the community lake, creating beautiful ripples. My son had his tackle box organized perfectly with every lure arranged by color. I was demonstrating casting technique when Noah pointed behind me. "Dad, who are those people?" A white golf cart sped down the path like conducting a drug raid. 3 people climbed out with emergency urgency. Gloria Hale, the 55-year-old HOA president, stormed over with 2 neighbors trailing behind. One immediately pulled out his phone and started live streaming with the caption, "Catching a rule breaker in action." "Are you Justin Bennett?" Gloria called out in a voice that could cut glass. I nodded, confused about how she knew my name. "I'm Gloria Hale, president of the Meadowbrook Homeowners Association, and you are in direct violation of community regulations." She gestured toward us like we were dangerous fugitives. "Do you have any idea what time it is?" 7:30 in the morning. Exactly. You're fishing during designated quiet hours before 8 a.m. This is about community standards. I pulled out my valid state fishing license, thinking this was some misunderstanding. She barely glanced at it before waving it away. "This has nothing to do with state permits. This is about respect for your neighbors." Gloria reached into her blazer and pulled out an official citation. "You are hereby fined $150 for violation of quiet hour regulations plus $450 in legal processing fees." My eyes widened. $600 seems excessive for fishing 30 minutes early. The processing fees are standard. Perhaps next time you'll think twice before breaking rules. Noah tugged my sleeve. "Dad, are we in trouble?" The fear in his voice made my chest tight with anger. This was supposed to be a fun morning teaching my son a skill passed down through generations. Gloria pulled out her phone with dramatic urgency. "Since you seem unwilling to cooperate, I'm calling the authorities." She actually dialed 911 for a minor timing violation. "Yes, I need to report a dangerous trespasser threatening residents at Meadowbrook Lake," she said dramatically. Noah's hand started shaking as he watched his dad get accused of being dangerous. The fishing rod slipped from his grip and clattered onto the dock. I put my arm around him, trying to stay calm. The neighbor kept recording, narrating like reality TV commentary. "This is what happens when people think they're above community rules." "The police are on their way," Gloria announced with satisfaction. "I suggest you prepare to explain your actions to the authorities. All we wanted was quality time by the water." Noah pressed closer and asked quietly, "Dad, are they going to take you away?" Police sirens reached us before I could see the cars. 2 officers emerged expecting a dangerous situation. The older officer had graying temples and tired eyes. His younger partner looked eager to prove himself. Gloria rushed toward them, waving her citation like crucial evidence. "Officers, thank goodness you're here. This man has been trespassing, violating regulations, and refusing to cooperate with lawful HOA authority." The officers approached expecting danger but found a confused dad with a tackle box and a terrified 12-year-old. The younger officer reached for his handcuffs before examining any paperwork. Noah saw the movement and started crying. "Please don't arrest my dad," he sobbed, dropping his tackle box and spilling lures across the dock. "Hold on," the older officer said, raising his hand to pause escalation. He noticed Noah's distress and reconsidered the seriousness. "Let me understand. You were fishing with a valid state license, but started 30 minutes before HOA allows lake activities?" I pulled out my fishing license and identification. The older officer examined both carefully. "This license is valid and current," he observed, looking between my paperwork and Gloria's citation with skepticism. Gloria stepped forward. Section 12.4 of our guidelines explicitly prohibits recreational activities before 8 a.m. The older officer looked around at the peaceful lake setting. "Ma'am, this neighborhood calls us more often than people order pizza. Most calls turn out to be nothing serious. We've had multiple false reports from this address." The younger officer examined Noah's equipment and my license again. "Sir, your permits are valid, and fishing with proper licensing doesn't constitute trespassing. The timing might be an HOA matter, but it's not criminal." Gloria's mouth dropped open in shock. "Ma'am, I suggest you handle future disputes through proper civil channels rather than emergency services," the older officer said firmly. That evening, I sat in my office researching property records. My journalism background made me skilled at finding documents, and my grandmother's recent inheritance gave me financial flexibility. Something about Gloria's $600 fine felt calculated, like she'd been waiting to make an example of someone. What I found raised immediate red flags. The community lake management contract showed overdue payments dating back 6 months. Letters with red overdue stamps, each ignored, totaling $15,000. Clearwater Lake Management had been sending certified warnings for months, but none were shared with residents during meetings. Gloria had kept these hidden while collecting monthly fees from homeowners. The correspondence showed Clearwater threatened to terminate the agreement unless payments were made within 60 days. The contract stated if payments fell behind by more than 90 days, they could revoke community access. We were past that deadline. Rachel came home to find me surrounded by documents. "What are you planning?" When I explained the debt situation, she said, "What if we could solve this whole mess?" I looked at the inheritance money from my grandmother. She'd always taught me to use resources wisely and stand up for what's right. The $15,000 needed was significant, but money I could afford if it meant protecting our family from future harassment. If I could pay off the debt to Clearwater, I might negotiate protection against Gloria's campaigns. At minimum, it would give me leverage. I called my lawyer friend Mike about paying another organization's debt in exchange for contractual considerations. He warned about complexities but agreed if I could negotiate favorable terms with Clearwater, it might provide protection. By midnight, I had the complete picture of Gloria's hidden financial crisis. If the lake agreement was terminated, property values would suffer and families would lose primary amenities they'd paid for. This debt wasn't just a problem. It could be a weapon. 2 days later, Gloria called an emergency meeting that packed the community center. She had blown up photos of me fishing, displayed like criminal evidence. Gloria stood in a Navy power suit with a laser pointer. "We're here to address a serious threat to community standards. This individual believes he can violate regulations with impunity." The enlarged photos showed me helping Noah cast, but cropped to look sinister. She narrated like a prosecutor presenting evidence. During questions, Rachel asked about maintenance assessments, discovering only certain households received bills while others never got notices. "Has anyone noticed inconsistencies in HOA communications?" Rachel asked, prompting residents to compare experiences. Families with children received more violations and higher fines, while older residents rarely faced enforcement. Mrs. Chen raised her hand. "I've been walking by the water every morning for 5 years and never received citations. Why are fishing activities treated differently?" Her question exposed Gloria's arbitrary enforcement. Young Mr. Rodriguez stood up. "Can you provide an update on our amenities budget? Some neighbors ask about our lake management contract status." Gloria became nervous. "Financial records are available during business hours. Tonight is about violations, not accounting." I stood up as the room fell silent. "Gloria, you might want to check who actually pays for this lake before making legal threats," I said calmly. The room went silent as residents processed my suggestion. Gloria's demeanor cracked as she realized I might know more about finances than anticipated. The morning after the meeting, I drove to Clearwater Lake Management Headquarters. "Are you authorized to speak for the Homeowners Association?" the representative asked. When I mentioned my inheritance and potential solutions, his expression shifted to interest. "Most people call about payment plans. It's unusual to meet someone who might actually clear outstanding balances." He explained they'd been warning the HOA for months, but Gloria kept promising payments while threatening lawsuits. "We're tired of broken promises. If you can clear their debt, we'll give you exclusive authority to manage lake access." Negotiations took 3 hours. Clearwater was eager to work with someone who paid bills on time. I proposed paying the entire $15,000 debt for an exclusive 99-year lake control contract. "This is exactly what we've been hoping for," he said. "A responsible party who understands financial obligations." While I finalized paperwork, Gloria escalated her campaign by creating fake official prohibition orders with forged government signatures and fraudulent maintenance invoices claiming federal authority. Neighbors saw Gloria posting these fake orders on bulletin boards, telling anyone who'd listen that federal agencies confirmed my violations and issued permanent restrictions. When I returned home, Rachel showed me photos of Gloria's fake documents. They contained obvious forgeries that could constitute serious criminal violations. "She's lost control if she's willing to commit federal crimes," Rachel observed. The fake documents backfired when residents with legal backgrounds identified forgery indicators. Word spread that Gloria had been posting fraudulent government documents. I received Clearwater's call confirming my payment was processed and the debt cleared. "You now have exclusive authority to manage lake access for 99 years. Gloria escalated her campaign over the next week, organizing daily confrontations and encouraging neighbors to ostracize us. She positioned herself near the lake entrance with a clipboard, documenting our movements and photographing Noah. The harassment peaked when Noah came home with "Lake Thief" graffitied on his backpack by classmates who'd heard parents discussing our violations. "Dad, why do the other kids think I'm a criminal?" Noah asked tearfully. Rachel discovered Gloria had been collecting money from select residents for maintenance that never occurred. An elderly neighbor confided she'd paid over $800 in fees but never saw actual work performed. During a grocery store confrontation, Gloria accused our family of undermining community harmony, waiving documents, and claiming federal investigators confirmed we posed security risks. The stress affected Noah, who developed anxiety about leaving the house and nightmares about police arresting his parents. I realized Gloria was committing federal document fraud with serious penalties, but wanted to time the revelation for maximum impact. Rachel's investigation revealed Gloria collected over $25,000 through fake assessments deposited into her personal account, constituting embezzlement. The breaking point came when Gloria organized a protest outside our house with signs reading, "Protect our children from lake violators." She encouraged neighbors to honk horns when driving past, creating constant noise harassment. The irony was perfect. She violated actual noise ordinances while claiming to enforce community standards. Instead of another meeting, I arranged a private lake confrontation with key neighbors as witnesses, including George Miller, our elderly neighbor who'd been investigating Gloria's corruption. I brought my Clearwater contract in a manila folder, planning to reveal exclusive lake control at the perfect moment. Gloria arrived in her navy blazer carrying fake prohibition orders, expecting to continue harassment. "You're in violation of federal lake restrictions," she announced, waving forged documents. I remained calm as Gloria launched her dramatic presentation. She tried grabbing my contract when she noticed Clearwater letterhead, causing papers to scatter while she waved fake orders frantically. George Miller stepped forward with his own folder containing proof of Gloria's money collection scheme. "Gloria, the community deserves to know about your special assessments," he said, pulling out bank records and testimonials. The situation became surreal when Clearwater representatives arrived with federal investigators, responding to my report about forged documents. "We're investigating fraudulent federal documentation and financial crimes," the lead investigator Announced, showing credentials. Gloria went pale as agents examined her fake orders. These documents claim federal authority that doesn't exist, the investigator said. Creating false federal documents is a serious crime. Clearwater representatives provided documentation showing Gloria ignored 12 certified letters over 6 months while collecting money for services they weren't providing. She collected over $25,000 in fraudulent assessments. I produced my legitimate contract. I have legal authority to manage this lake and ban anyone who causes disruption. This exclusive 99-year agreement gives me complete control after I paid the $15,000 debt your HOA owed. Gloria's supporters distanced themselves as they realized her criminal scope. The live-streaming neighbor deleted his posts and apologized for participating in harassment based on fraudulent authority. The investigator interviewed residents about experiences with fake assessments and forged documents. This appears to be organized fraud with discriminatory enforcement. Gloria made one final desperate attempt, threatening federal lawsuits while standing before actual federal agents. "Ma'am, you'll need to remain available for questioning," the investigator called as she stormed off. 3 weeks later, I sat in a courtroom as Gloria's attorney argued my agreement should be invalidated. The judge reviewed evidence, including Clearwater's documentation and federal findings about forgery and embezzlement. The judge upheld my contract without hesitation. This agreement was executed legally by Mr. Bennett, who cleared substantial debts the defendant concealed. The court finds no grounds for invalidation given the defendant's fraudulent behavior pattern. Gloria was sentenced to repay $25,000 to defrauded residents and face 2 years probation for federal document fraud. Clearwater offered to sell me the entire lake property. "We'd rather work with a responsible private owner than another dysfunctional HOA, the president explained. The purchase price was $45,000, $15,000 below market value because they were grateful for a reliable buyer. They fined me $600 for fishing. I answered by buying their lake for $45,000. The community voted to dissolve the HOA entirely since Gloria's crimes destroyed remaining trust. The vote passed by overwhelming majority. All HOA signage was removed and replaced with simple community guidelines established by resident consensus, focusing on actual problems rather than arbitrary lifestyle restrictions. Noah showed initial hesitation about fishing again, still traumatized. "What if someone else tries to stop us?" I assured him no one could interfere anymore because our family owned the water and surrounding property. "I can't believe we went from a $600 fine to owning the entire lake," Rachel said. "Gloria's attempt to destroy us gave us complete control over her personal kingdom. I installed private property, no HOA access signs around the lake perimeter, permanently banning Gloria and her supporters. Noah helped put up signs, finally understanding he was safe. Several families asked permission to use the lake. I established reasonable policies focused on safety and environmental protection rather than discriminatory restrictions. On a peaceful Sunday evening, Noah caught his first base while Rachel watched from our private dock. The sun set over water, creating beautiful reflections that reminded me why we'd fought to protect our family's right to enjoy natural beauty. "Dad, this is the best fishing spot ever," Noah said with genuine happiness, his trauma finally healing. From a $600 fine, Gloria lost the entire lake and her freedom, and I ended up with something I never planned, a private lake where nobody can mess with my family anymore. They tried to squeeze me for $600. I answered by paying off $15,000, exposing their scam, and taking the whole thing. Maybe the real lesson is that when people abuse rules, the only way to win is to flip the board.